Guys, it's Jeremy here at Metal Music Meltdown, back with another video. Video for today, guys, is something a little bit different. This is an idea I came across on YouTube actually a little over a year ago. A YouTuber, I think it originated with Metal Mickey, if I'm not mistaken. He did a challenge on his channel where you find a band where your favorite album from that band is the debut, and then you go in sequence. So then you find another band where your favorite album from that band is the second album, third album, and then so on and so forth, third, fourth, fifth. And you see how high you can get before you kind of call it quits and, kind of stop searching kind of thing. And I wanted to revisit that idea, kind of popped in my head a couple days ago. And then I remembered, triggered my memory that he did that about a year ago, roughly. So I'll definitely give him props. I think he called it the 1, 2, 3 challenge, if I'm not mistaken. But it's pretty much just finding a band where your favorite album from the band is the debut, and then the second, the third, the fourth, etc., etc. So let's jump right in, guys. I got up to number 9 on my list. I didn't really kind of go much further than that. I think I did find an 11, where the 11th album was my favorite from the band, but I couldn't find a band where the 10th album was my favorite, so I kind of stopped at 9. So let's jump right in, so the video's not too long. Number 1, I found doing this exercise as well, 90% of the bands, their greatest album generally is either album 1, 2, or 3. I kind of found that doing this exercise, once I got past number 3, especially up to 6, 7, 8, it really became harder to find my favorite album from the band being that high. I find most bands put out their best material normally early in their career, but not always. So number 1, the album I decided to pick was Bonded by Blood by Exodus. One of my favorite debut thrash albums has always been my favorite Exodus album. There's some other really good debut albums I considered as like an honorable mention. The debut Metal Church album's always been my favorite from them as well. Some people might have Testament to Legacy. I kind of prefer the second album a little bit more. But there's tons of great albums that are debuts. But I went with Exodus as one of my favorite thrash albums of all time. Number 2, I went with my favorite album of all time was a no-brainer, Rainbow Rising. Second album from Ritchie Blackmore's Rainbow. Of course, the legendary Ronnie James Dio on vocals, Cozy Powell on drums, and Jimmy Bain on bass. Arguably the best lineup in rock metal history, in my opinion. Always been my favorite album for a very long time anyways. The song Stargazer is life-changing. I listen to that song literally every morning, like clockwork, without a lie, for the last, I don't know how many years, like 15, 20 years, without a lie. I start my day with that song every day. Never get sick of it. So yeah, I had to put that number 2. Always been my favorite Rainbow album by a mile, and also my favorite album in general of all time. Number 3, there's a lot of choices for the number 3 album. I could have picked Rain and Blood by Slayer. I could have picked Master of Puppets would have been a popular pick as well. But I decided to go with Number of the Beast by Iron Maiden. Always been my favorite Maiden album, the first one with Bruce on vocals. This is just a top to bottom, a greatest hits record. There's not one weak track on the album. Their first albums are really perfect, but I love this album. Invaders, Children of the Damned, 22 Acacia Avenue, The Prisoner. The title track, of course, Run to the Hills, Gangland, and Hallowed Be Thy Name. It's just full of all-time metal classics, and I never get sick of any of the songs. It's just killer. Number 4, I went with Hall of the Mountain King by Savatage. Always been my favorite Savatage album by a mile. Really love this album. With the title track, The Price You Pay, Legions, Beyond the Doors of the Dark, just so many good songs on here. And one I still have to pick up on CD. For some reason, I don't have it on CD yet, but I have to grab a copy. Or I think I did have it at one point, but I lent it to somebody, and I never got it back or something, because I went looking for it to listen to it recently, and I couldn't find it, so I have to get a copy of it again. Number 5 was a no-brainer for me, the 5th album by Opeth, Water Park. Probably my second favorite album of all time. Another one I listen to pretty much weekly. Another album that's just full of bangers, Leper Affinity, Bleak, Harvest, The Drapery Falls, and my favorite Opeth song, the closing track, Blackwater Park. So I had to make my number 5 no-brainer on that one. For number 6, I went with Death and Symbolic. Always been my favorite Death album. I love their whole catalog, but this one always resonates with me. As soon as I heard Symbolic and Zero Tolerance and those songs, I just loved it right away. This is when he started getting into the more progressive sound, but not quite. Really good production on this album as well. Chukka sounds amazing. Always been my favorite Death album. Had to be in my number 6. At number 7, I went with Amon Amarth with Twilight of the Thunder God. Definitely their most successful album and probably their most popular. Kind of a low-hanging fruit on this one, but I love this album. The title track is killer, Guardians of Asgard. Seeing them perform the title track live is one of the best live things you'll ever see. Every time I've seen them live and they perform that song, the crowd always drowns out the singer and people are just so hyped and into it. Fist in the air, just singing along. Never get sick of that song or the album. It's just killer. Lately, Amon Amarth's been kind of start sounding samey. Their albums are really good. I still really enjoy them, but Twilight of the Thunder God is just their masterpiece in my opinion. Their opus. Number 8, I went with not a metal album really, but a hard rock band, Rush, Canadian boys, with Moving Pictures. Again, easily their most popular and successful album. Another one that's just full of classics, Tom Sawyer, of course, Red Barchetta, YYZ, Limelight, Vital Signs, Witch Hunt, and Camerai. 7 perfect songs, 40 minutes of pure Rush bliss. Always been my favorite Rush album. I do like the early material, all the stuff before this, but I love Moving Pictures, classic album. And number 9, I went with Black Sabbath with Heaven and Hell. Probably my 3rd favorite album of all time, another with Ronnie on vocals. And for the long time, Paranoid was my favorite Sabbath album because I had some of my favorite tunes like Paranoid and War Pigs, and I love early Ozzy Sabbath. But over the years, Heaven and Hell has become my favorite Black Sabbath album. So spoiler alert, if I ever do a Black Sabbath ranking, you'll kind of already know it, but probably my number 1 and 2 will be. But I love this album. The title track signifies, in my opinion, everything heavy metal is. So if I had to tell somebody or try to show somebody what heavy metal is, I would just play them Heaven and Hell with that galloping bass line at the beginning, the crazy riffs, Ronnie soaring vocals at the end where it goes super heavy and fast. Everything about that song just screams heavy metal. But it's got so many good tunes. Neon Nights, Children of the Sea. Title track is my favorite by far. Die Young. Tons of good tunes on this album. So that's pretty much as far as I got, guys, up to number 9. I think I might kind of turn this into a series, and I'll do my top 10, starting at the beginning, like my top 10 metal debuts, and then top 10 second albums from our list of bands, and then my top 10 third album kind of thing. I'll kind of go through it as far as I can until it starts getting, these won't be my favorite albums from those bands necessarily, but just my 10 favorite albums that happen to be the second, third, or fourth that are out there in a ranking system. So I might start that series very soon, so stay tuned for that. That might be the next series I kind of do, kind of interesting to me. And thanks for watching, guys. List down below some examples you would have in your list. And until next time, guys, keep it metal.